Alright guys, time to grab here back again today. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday so far, and today we're going to talk about the beta which is coming out for Black Ops Cold War just later today. A couple of weekends ago we got the alpha that came out, kind of had mixed reviews, felt good on paper, but skill-based matchmaking came into effect and there were a number of real issues that the professional players were bringing up for competitive play that they would like to see reversed or at least changed to some degree. Yesterday, Treyarch came out with a significant list of patch notes for the upcoming beta, some of the things they're looking to change, and well, a lot of it frankly is great news for the competitive scene. We're going to be going through a number of things today, have to see how it plays out in game tonight. I do wonder whether they'll take anything a step further for the real game when it launches in November, or maybe pull some things back if they think they've gone a little bit too far, but certainly going to be interesting to see. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for doing that, really helps out the channel. Let's also talk about then this Ghost Throwback tourney which went on yesterday. Aches, Kismet, Looney and Goonjar actually took the victory. There was a crazy 1 versus 1 at the end. Temp actually killed Aches but then couldn't quite get the defuse in time. It was like a 0.01 second defuse. Unbelievable stuff. So yeah, congrats to these guys. Once again, Aches dominating the throwback tournaments. You love to see it. And well, when is Paris going to pick him up? We'll have to stay tuned for that storyline as it continues to develop. Call of Duty say this. Early access to the beta starts tomorrow, October the 8th, 10 AM Pacific time for PS4 early access if you guys aren't aware. And then I believe next weekend, there's another weekend open for the beta for everyone, right? Like anyone can do it on all consoles, but there's some early access stuff going on this weekend as there tends to be. This is some of Treyarch's key highlights. New map called Cartel, which apparently you can play 6v6 and 12v12. Not exactly sure what's going on there. Some new modes as well. VIP Escort, Combined Arms. So VIP Escort, I think we saw some gameplay in like the pre-alpha that some of the influencers were playing. Like, not like a safeguard, well, kind of like a safeguard type mode if you guys remember from Black Ops 3. Something to that degree. And Combined Arms, Fire Team, Dirty Bomb. Not exactly sure what's going on here. Have to keep an eye on how this one develops. But yeah, Field of View slider was also a massive thing that a lot of people were discussing yesterday before we get into these patch notes. So as you can see, Black Ops Cold War features a field of view slider on all platforms. Now this may impact performance on some of the older consoles, but effectively a field of view slider. I just got this graphic off Google just to kind of explain the situation. A narrow field of view, which is what you might tend to see on console. Often you'll see this like comparing console and PC footage. I think the default PC field of view is wider than the default console field of view, maybe due to like performance restrictions and stuff, but you haven't been able to change this on console in the past. On PC, I believe in previous games you have been able to change it, but on console it's pretty much stuck as it is. And as you can see, the narrow field of view, you can see a very limited amount compared to the medium. It seems to zoom out quite significantly. It's effectively the same portion of what you're looking at, but on this super wide version, you're like seeing way more of the map. And well, this is obviously an advantage, and a lot of PC players prefer to play with a wider field of view. Of course, it does mean you have to render more things. Your PC is more stretched in that sense, and your console, your PS5 might be more stretched in that sense, which maybe means frame rate is going to suffer. So there's definitely a trade-off. And there is a question as when we go over to talk about the challenger side with the crossplay between PC, Xbox Series X, whatever it's called, and the PS5, is there going to be like a default field of view which everyone has to use? That may be the case, right? Because if you're allowing, if you're allowing PC players to have a really wide field of view, but console players, if they do that, they're going to really significantly suffer in terms of their frame rates. You could argue that's going to be unfair to some degree. So they may have some set requirements onto what players have to play on, but at least from a casual perspective, this is certainly a step in the right direction. This has been a thing in other games for years, so it's not necessarily something to celebrate, but I thought I'd bring it to your guys' attention in case you weren't aware. We got this a couple of days ago as well. David von der Haar says, excited to see how you all feel about the progress we have made. A lot of the developers at Treyarch have said that the beta is significantly better than the alpha, and well, if it is, we're in for a real treat this year. Clayster says, what are the chances we'll get a little alpha to the beta patch notes? That list is so long, nobody would read it except my friends at Charlie Intel. It's a good idea I needed 36 hours ago, and well, Egg says a similar suggestion, I suppose, on what has changed, and von der Haar says, I'm sure Tony Flame will find the right level of detail to communicate with the pro player community that doesn't take the rest of his natural life. I appreciate you telling us what you care about. We can't always meet you where you are, but we try harder than anyone, and well, Eggs is happy to see that. And then Tony Flame comes out with the following: to everyone asking what's changed from the Cold War to alpha to beta, we haven't been ignoring you. In fact, we've been working hard behind the scenes to compile it all into a comprehensive list, including some of the thinking behind the changes. You can find it all here. So these are some of the key highlights that Crone points out. There's some sliding changes, there's some weapon tuning changes to the AK-74U especially, and also ninja and dead silence changes. So we're going to go through some of the implications of this right here. So this is where it starts. In terms of movement, integrated, updated locomotion animations and systems for walking, whatever that means. Slight increased acceleration when moving. A lot of the things they discuss here, like slightly reduced slide speed, we'll get onto that in a second, but just smoothing things out. I think a lot of of people felt the beta or the alpha was kind of clunky in terms of the movements. So it seems like they're trying to smooth things out a little bit in terms of how it feels. So that should be pretty cool. So sliding was a major complaint that some of the professionals had, that slide cancelling was effectively back right as it was, well, during Modern Warfare, which wasn't necessarily the greatest mechanic. Slightly reduced slide speed, increased the minimum amount of time a player must sprint before sliding to better align with the time to reach the max sprint speed. So you can't just sprint and immediately slide, so slide cancelling is kind of reduced in that sense. The player cannot immediately trigger a slide from a near standstill, addressed an issue that allowed players to cancel a slide without the appropriate slowdown. We'll continue to monitor and investigate any slide cancel exploits as they describe it. So definitely looks like slide cancelling is either not going to be in the game this weekend or, well, it's going to be significantly reduced. I'm probably sure Shotzi's going to find another way to do it, but, you know, maybe they'll take care of that when it does come into effect. You've got some gunsmith changes, ADS changes, once again, like some smoothening of ADS transitions. Sniper rifles was actually a complaint that a fair few people had. This one as well on the AK-74U made tuning changes to alpha weapons that overperformed or underperformed. We know the AK-74U is very, very strong indeed. So they've increased the recoil and the ADS time. So, yeah, maybe that'll make it less competitive, but the damage seems to have stayed the same. So maybe it'll still be viable. The Uzi, though, people were figuring out towards the end of the weekend, was probably the best gun as well. Sniper rifles then. So this is an interesting one because snipers were super OP, to be honest, I thought, in the first weekends on the alpha, but they've actually added aim assist in addition. So it looks like they've added one thing and then taken a couple of other things away. So adjusted ADS time on sniper rifles. I imagine that means slower ADS because it was very quick. Any quicker would be incredible. And well, they also mentioned sniper rifles now require higher hits on the body for one-hit eliminations. So upper chest instead of stomach, etc. Upper arm instead of lower arm. So effectively they've reduced the damage to some degree, but also added some aim assist to the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. Not super relevant for competitive play, but well, the powerfulness of sniper rifles is always a factor. We remember in World War II how on USS Texas we would relatively often see 2 sniper rifles be pulled out on that map, especially on the offense side, where reserve Scraps and Zero were kind of prolific with that one. So in terms of visuals, graphics, lighting, stability, audio was also something that people were talking about to a great degree. Footsteps as well. This is pretty cool. Crouch walking now functions as a near silence movement option available to all players, with or without the ninja perk. I wish this just said straight up silence. I can't really see a reason why you need to make any noise when you're crouch walking. When you're really attempting to be silent, they should just let you be silent. But and at least with the ninja perk, hopefully it is like exactly silent. But this is pretty cool at the very least. If you are crouch walking, I mean, even in Modern Warfare, you made so much noise when you were crouch walking, like especially if you're coming downstairs or something, like you still sounded like an elephant. So this certainly seems like a step in the right direction. ADS crouch walking now makes the player's footstep audio even quieter. Enemies should not hear the player when crouching outside of extreme close quarters, which, well, at least that is a step in the right direction. Then they've also buffed Ninja. When Ninja is equipped, effectively dead silence. It was called Ninja back in Black Ops 1. Core movements such as sprinting, jogging, and walking are now greatly reduced in volume and distance by roughly 50% compared to the alpha. So a lot of complaints in the alpha were like, the Ninja doesn't really do anything. So, you know, as they say, ADS walking will also provide a significant stealth advantage when using Ninja. So definitely seems good. Seems like there's still going to be some noise there, which means that sound whoring is still going to be a thing probably in competitive play. People are going to absolutely crank up the volume. But, yeah, it's probably better than it was, which certainly is a step in the right direction. I wish they would just, like, reduce it even more significantly. Personally, I loved it in Ghost when just everyone had dead silence and, like, you couldn't hear anyone. And it meant that no one got free information and you were kind of free to make cool flanks without the risk of getting a, well, sound whore by someone as you were in Modern Warfare, where effectively you just had to wait for your dead silence to pop before you could do anything. Some discussions about hit markers, bullet cracks, score streak system, a lot of things changing, spawns as well, and I think some of the visuals they mentioned on Miami, they're going to try and make that easier, and some bug fixes as well. So I think we went through most of the things. Also this one about the motion blur, when you guys might remember how you would turn off motion blur and then like it would just come back on randomly for the next game. Wasn't ideal. I don't like playing with it. So yeah, a few things have changed here. The final one that I believe Crimsix and others were discussing was this dead zone minimum input threshold. Expanded the options to reduce minimum stick input threshold or dead zone to 0. Setting this to 0 is only recommended for advanced users. Depending on controller hardware, setting this to low values can cause stick drift, which, well, the stick engages when no input is given. So I think Crimsix and other pros were discussing how this is a good thing, a step in the right direction to allow people to use this dead zone option to have finer motor controls, I suppose, over their thumbsticks. But yeah, I'm not really sure I'm going to be engaging this. Not really sure if it's going to benefit me. I'm not very good at the game. So I'll leave all this link down below for you guys to check out and read in greater detail if you would like to. Very intrigued to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below. I'll just finish up with this clip here from Hastro, well, from Nameless on the CODcast, with Hastro discussing how they took a trip down memory lane, looking back at one of these old COD 4 lands and Nationals and Anaheim, which was crazy stuff. And well, they thought they spotted Hector in the background, thought this is pretty entertaining. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It helps the YouTube algorithm know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Oh, he's right there. It's the blue cap at the end. Like, when he flips his camera back around.
I'm trying to see. I see Hex on the other side, I think.
I don't think that's Hex.
That's not Hector.
It looks just like him.
Hey, that looks just like Hector, bro.
Just like Hector.
Hector.
Yeah. Anyway, Phillies is in that little blue ball cap at the very end.
Oh yeah.
Him and Nade Shot were playing together that tournament.
Look at him, dude. He's
like
so
14.
tiny, bro. That's
him.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. There he is, right there.